My name is Shalee Bradley, and I am the Agriculture and Natural Resources Extension Educator for Purdue Extension, Johnson County, and I'm also a farmer here in Johnson County, Indiana. I got into agriculture from a young age. My grandparents owned a small, diversified livestock and hay production farm in the Center Grove area, west central Johnson County, and we spent a lot of time working with livestock, working with the hay, and that kind of started my whole agriculture experience. When I was in middle school, I transferred down to Indian Creek High School and was in FFA, and from there I just explored all the different opportunities I could possibly explore. I went on to Purdue University and got my bachelor's degree in agricultural education, and upon graduation from Purdue, I taught agriculture for 4 years, and then agriculture education and being in the classroom just wasn't a good fit for me anymore. So I started an extension, and it's been the best since. This has been the best experience, but in between all those things, how I got to where I am, I also married a farmer, and we farmed together full-time along with his family, and that's been a great experience for all of us to put together our families and to grow kids. We have one daughter, and we just enjoy bringing the whole agriculture community together one step at a time within our farm. When I think of farming, I think of it as both a business and a lifestyle, a mix of both, because so my grandpa, I always said when I became a teacher that he was the driving force behind it, but also when I landed this job in extension. So he passed away in 2024, and then I started, passed away in 2023, and I started an extension in 2024. So I wish he could see where I am today, because he would be so proud. And same way with my dad. My dad passed away in 2024, and when I started this job in February 20th, 2024, and he passed away February 29th. And so 9 days into this job, that took a huge toll, but I remember him saying right when I landed this job that I want you to be the next greatest A&R educator that the county has ever seen. And so that just speaks volumes to me. I've had a lot of compliments on that as well. Just, you're the next, Rick Chase was the A&R educator several years ago that had a big impact on Johnson County, and so that's what I always strive to be like, is Rick Chase. So it's pretty cool. Farming in Johnson County has changed majorly over the last several years, even from when I was a kid to now. You drive down 135, you drive down 31, 65, and you see a whole change of urbanization happening in our county. And it's it's sad. It's also good for others. We're walking a fine line in what's too much and what's maybe not enough. But in that aspect, farming has really changed, being able to, drive down the road and have so many open fields of tillable acres, and now they're all in houses or shopping centers, different businesses. I think that we have urbanized really quickly, really fast in Johnson County, but that's not to say that we're not still producing food. We're still producing enough, and most of our farmers are still in business. Now, you think back many years ago, everybody farmed, right? Everybody had land, and that's not always the case right now. So I think it's a big part to just realize that it's okay that we have urbanized. We're making more food. We're producing more on a smaller amount of land, and that just goes to research and genetics and all that sort of stuff. Technologies and practices in agriculture have really changed over the last several years. We're a lot more data-driven, which is good. right? Being able to see data and figure out what's working and what's not. But at the same time, we some farmers just aren't set up for that, aren't set up for technology. But it is amazing what agronomists, what geneticists, what seed companies can put together for us as farmers and producers to really make the best crop possible for our area. That's really the biggest thing. I think that when you look at from one generation to the next, it's not the same as when my husband was growing up, right? My daughter will have all the technology at her fingertips, and technology is only good when it works. So I think it's pretty interesting to be able to see where we've been and where we're headed with more technology. Biggest challenges that farmers face in Johnson County, one is, we've kind of already talked about it, but one of those challenges is urbanization. Being able to look at Johnson County as a whole, and we've been growing and we've been changing. But aside from urbanization, we also really struggle with prices, right? Input costs, and markets. The corn and soybean market, the commodity market is staying low, and our input costs are rising every day. It feels like they're rising. So I think that's the biggest struggle, is that we're not getting as much bang for our buck as we once were. It's hard to make money in farming. It's hard to break even, especially on a year like this year. Markets are up right now, but that's not to say that's not going to change, right? Markets are very volatile, and can change in an instant, and that's a real struggle. But the good thing is Extension can provide programming for all of those things. We actually just recently had a program about grain marketing, a series, and that helped farmers a lot. Just be able to see how to market your grain, how to make the best decisions for your operation. Younger generations have a huge part in the story of the future of agriculture. I may be biased because I was a 10-year 4-H member and a 4-year FFA member, and an ag teacher, and now I'm in this position. But I think that without 4-H and without FFA, I would not be here today. And I know that's the same for a lot of people when they talk about where they've been and where they are now. But there's so many opportunities, and agriculture is not going away, right? We still need food on our table. So whether that's, and that doesn't mean they have to be a farmer, right? That can mean they're, in animal health, they're in ag systems management, they're in all these different things, trades, mechanicking. There's so many opportunities for young people to get involved and to make a difference in ag, and that's a huge portion. I think we just need to, it just starts with education, right? The younger we can get kids into ag classrooms, the younger we can get kids into 4-H, and the quicker, then the better off we're going to be as far as knowledge and wisdom in the agriculture field. What does agriculture mean to my family and our legacy? My daughter is going to be the 5th generation of farmers in our family, in my husband's family, and that just means everything to me. I remember growing up saying, oh, I'm always going to marry a farmer, right? That was kind of a goal, a silly goal maybe, but I always wanted to be in that position where I'm growing a family, we're sowing the seeds for the next generation, and educating people why we do it. I think that, when you ask an average farmer, what does your farm mean to you? And most of the time they say tradition, right? And legacy. And those are two things that I think are instilled in agriculturalists and in farmers on a daily basis, and making those proud before us. Over the last several years, we have had a lot of people pass away and leave their legacy behind, and it's important to continue that legacy through the next generation, and just being able to share the story. Even though they're not with us, we can still share what they taught us, right? It just keeps going down the line, and I think that's most important. Utilizing local resources is very important. My shameless plug on Extension, right? But thinking about all the different programs and all the different resources we have to make it the best possible scenario for our farmers, whether that's pesticide applicator recertification programs, whether that's the grain marketing, succession planning. That's a huge, huge issue. Is people don't think they need a succession plan, and it's better to start early. Whether that's even home horticulture or just calling and saying, hey, I need you to come scout my fields. Extension is ever evolving. And I think that just knowing that we're here and that we can provide support in any way possible to our farmers is most important. Something I want others to understand about Johnson County agriculture, especially newcomers or people moving to the area, is that we're still prominent in Johnson County. And sometimes it gets hard when we go from the north end of the county to the south end of the county, and some people just don't realize that we're all one big county, right? Because a lot of the northern part is that urbanization, but as you move south, as you move east, it's really still pretty rural. And just understanding that we're here, farmers are here, they're here growing your food, and at the end of the day, that they're doing a good job doing it, right? So just being able to tell newcomers that appreciate and support them. And a lot of people get caught up in the fact that farmers are just the row crop farmers, corn and soybeans. But the cool thing about farming is that it's the people producing eggs, right? It's the people producing vegetables at farmers markets. And that's just one way you can support others and support our farmers is by going to those farmers markets. Even the row crop farmers, being able to buy local products, support local economy. I mean, there's so many opportunities to support what we have going on here.